Many people are critical of believing there are mysterious and paranormal events happening around the world. But in cases where police officers are involved in these unusual events, would they still be considered a hoax? And how well do the law enforcement handle these kinds of cases? So today we'll be taking a look at 5 mysterious police encounters. Police encounter the Enfield Poltergeist. Ghost stories are usually familiar in hotels, old buildings and castles, but when it happens where ordinary people live, it tends to become more believable among families, as people feel it could happen to any one of them. It all started in August of 1977 at a council house in Brinsdown, Enfield, England, where single parent Peggy Hodgson and her 4 children, Margaret 13, Janet 11 and Johnny 10 and Billy 7 lived. Peggy thought her daughters were lying about furniture moving on their own, until a chest of drawers moved from the place she moved it to. Out of fear she called her neighbours, and they also heard creepy sounds and bangs from no particular source of the house. Peggy then called the police to her home, and they too could not trace the source of the noises they heard. After the police came, other series of paranormal events began to take place. For example, furniture and toys were being thrown around by an unseen force, and Janet, the youngest daughter, started levitating and also speaking in a strange tongue. The Enfield Poltergeist story immediately caught the attention of the world, but it divided many, with many skeptics feeling it was all staged by the girls. Although respected members of the paranormal believed the report of the Hodgson family to be genuine, there were some, however, that thought Janet may have exaggerated some of the events. Janet had been caught on 2 occasions, one with her seen in video footage bending a spoon, while at another time she hid a tape recorder. These researchers observed that Janet also had the same habit with one of the voices she is well known for. One of the things that cannot be explained, however, is how Janet knew that Bill passed away as a result of having a hemorrhage. Bill was the previous owner of the house, and somehow Janet knew he passed away while sitting in his chair in the living room. This was later confirmed from Bill's son as accurate. Devil's Peak Incident. A man by the name of Maurice living in Warren, Massachusetts was famously known for having one of the most abnormal demonic possessions ever recorded in the 1980s. The story about Maurice goes back to when he was a boy growing up with his abusive father, and had to endure gruesome work on the farm for long hours each day. Over the passing years, his father became more violent towards his son, switching temperaments between anger and neglect. Maurice then sought more from his father, as any growing child would. Maurice wanted a better life for himself, and so began to seek help from any means he could, even going as far to asking Satan to lend him a helping hand. It was on one of these days that he experienced a strange event at the farm's barn. The details of the event were never fully disclosed, but it had something to do with a ritual involving making love, and Maurice was made to participate in it. Not long after, he began to notice changes in him, from his strength exceeding a fully grown man's, to having knowledge of things that he had never been taught. It was not until 1985 that the town began to notice some strange things happening to Maurice. From blood randomly appearing on him or in his home to fire breakouts, and cases of Maurice appearing in more than one place at a time. Many people were witnesses to the happenings, including a police officer. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators, were brought in and were able to resolve the case. This was when they realised the situation was that of a possession rather than a usual haunting. They summoned Bishop Robert McKenna, who conducted the exorcism ritual. They were successful with the exorcism. However, Ed Warren almost lost his life in the process. Maurice was able to make a reasonable sum of money from the damage caused on the farm by the demons. Navajo Paranormal Encounters. Police officers are known for keeping the peace of the community, enforcing the law, protecting people and properties, and fighting crime. Beyond law enforcement, police officers do not take paranormal activity seriously. but if you're residing in the Navajo Reservation of the American Southwest and report a case relating to the paranormal, they will attend to the matter the same way they would do with any other. Many cases of UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot and skinwalkers believed to have the ability to shapeshift into any creature have been reported to the Navajo Reservation, and they've had to create a specialized branch of their department to look into such weird cases. The Navajo Nation Ranchers, as the special team is called, investigates mysterious cases along with being specially trained in tasks like managing archaeological sites, fish and wildlife services and national parks. Out of all the cases they handle, less than 1% accounted for are paranormal activities. Retired Lieutenant John Dover and his partner Sergeant Stanley Milford gave more insights onto these paranormal cases. In one of the cases they investigated, a young lady claimed that on a particular night she saw a glowing orb following her while she was driving home. She was lucky to get back safely, but as she was about to park her car at a regular spot, she spotted a huge rabbit sitting down and looking at her. The woman ran into the apartment, locked the door, and when she woke up the next morning she had a migraine. Both investigators found unusual electromagnetic readings around her car, especially around the driver's seat. In another case, a man living alone in the desert claimed to have seen a UFO ship land, and different aliens inspecting his home before they took off into the night. The rangers found mysterious ringed holes close to his shed. They also investigated a case of a haunted house where coins were dropping like rain, with no way of explaining where the coins were coming from. According to Milford, they investigate these cases because people are frightened by what they see, hoping to find someone to turn to and to listen to, and that is precisely what they do. Rendlesham Forest Incident. A strange occurrence happened in Rendlesham Forest, Suffolk, England, where two US Air Force bases, Woodbridge and Bentwaters, were located around the 26th and 27th of December 1980. On the 26th of December 1980 at around 3 AM, an eyewitness saw lights that were close to Rendlesham Forest. At first soldiers thought it was a crashed aircraft, but as they entered the forest to investigate, they saw a metallic glowing object that moved further away from them as they tried to get closer. Local police officers were called to the scene about an hour later, but announced that the Orfordness beacon was the only light they could see for miles around. The morning of that same day, some soldiers returned to the site and found broken branches on some close-by trees, burnt marks and 3 little impacts on the ground, which the local police felt could have been made by an animal when they returned to the scene. In the early hours of the next day, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, who was the deputy base commander, took some of his men to the site to carry out radiation readings using a radiation survey meter. While they were at it, Holt recorded his memo to the UK Ministry of Defence and said that 3 lights were found in the sky, and the most splendid of these drifted for a few hours and every so often shot down a bright light. According to astronomers, the bright lights are believed to be shining stars. Interestingly, many of the original documents on this case have been destroyed, and when pushed for why this happened, officials don't give an answer. It seems that whatever happened at Rendlesham on that day is not known by the general public. The event is ranked as one of the best UFO reported cases around the world, and is sometimes referred to as Britain's Roswell, in relation with the Roswell UFO incident that happened in mid-1947 in the United States. Indiana Demon House. The Indiana Demon House, also known as the Ammons haunting case, centers around Latoya Ammons, her mother and her 3 children that moved into the house in 2011. Unknown to them that the house had unseen occupants, they were happy to move into the apartment. Not long after they moved in, they began to experience a series of paranormal events. Their first experience was in December of that year, when black flies started to swarm the house. It was odd because it was winter and every attempt they made to get rid of the flies resulted in more coming. At another time, Latoya's mother Campbell heard disembodied footsteps, and later alleged to have seen a dark figure lurking in the living room. Another incident happened in March of 2012, when Latoya saw her 12-year-old daughter levitating in her sleep like she was in a trance. According to Latoya and Campbell, the girl only returned back to her bed after they prayed. The girl had no idea what happened when she woke up. At one point the police were contacted, and the kids were taken to a hospital where the eldest son was said to have behaved normally, while the younger brother acted like he was possessed. A police captain believed the house might be haunted. Later on, Father Michael was brought in and performed 3 exorcisms on the house, none of which appeared to have affected the powers living in the house. The family eventually had to move out and relocate in 2012. With the popularity of the haunted house and the family that once lived in it, the house was bought by Zach Bagans for $35,000 in 2014. This was for the sole purpose of filming a documentary about the haunted house titled Demon House. After the filming was complete in 2016, the house was demolished, but the movie was not released until 2018. So what do you think of these 5 mysterious police encounters? Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.